now I want to talk about you a little bit, because I always want to cover every one of my guests in terms of what their life experience has been like, in terms of what brought them here. And what I want to know is, so let's start with you, Ellen. So you obviously you studied accounting and marketing, and now you are doing what you're doing. But growing up as a kid, you probably had certain things that you've done that now looking back, you can tell, those are the things that I did those days that were already telling people this is what I was going to end up doing. Can you remember what was the connection? So what was the genesis of what you do today as a kid? Share with
As
us
a
some of those
kid,
experiences.
look, I think I've always had a job. So I started working as soon as I could. I started my own little babysitting company when I was very young. But I think in terms of, did I see myself ending up here? Probably not. I think I more just had lots of different interests and lots of different disciplines. So I've always been fascinated by, history, accounting, economics, or like a real range of topics. So when I actually went to university, because I also studied psychology, I couldn't like choose one area. I'm like fascinated and love to use both sides of my brain. And so when I kind of, I guess, fell into software, I would say I fell into software. I mean, I feel very lucky that I did. And it was genuinely was, oh, I can use, there's the accounting side of things. I love, being around Amazon and entrepreneurs. It's so inspiring, as well as like being creative with marketing. So I loved that aspect, that I could do all of these things, and as well as work, as well as a startup, right? When you're at a startup, you don't just do one thing. You can be building the product one day, or you could be doing a new website the next. So there's so much variation, and I think that's what I loved. So yeah, so that was a long answer to, I don't know if I did have any
Well,
telltale signs.
the answer I'm looking for, this is so standard answer I get. People always, I ask, so what were they like? When was it that you realized first time that, this was looking back, that was the time? They always very quickly fast forward. They talk about their college, and then they talk
Yeah.
about their job and the current job. I have no interest in any of those things. What I'm interested in is, as a little girl growing up, you must have done some things, asked certain questions, wanted certain things from your parents that were completely in line with what you do today. So it's the same kind of interest. So that's what I want to know. What was it?
Yeah,
Well,
I think I
you
have
got
that.
one, Iona?
I think we talked about this just the other day. Hey, El, we talked about
Yeah.
it, and I think for me it was I'm the youngest of three. However, I was the one that was the loner. I gave everything, so I was the one that had the money. And I think that was my thing. From a very young age, I had realised, one, the value of money, um, because I seemed to have it, and they always didn't when they had the same, but they just spent theirs and I didn't. And then the whole, the saving side of things, I think that was sort of half ingrained into me. And I think that connection is where I ended up in this path of accounting. So, yeah, I
Ah,
see what you're saying in that it was, a childhood thing that happened, but I always had an interest in this area. I actually did want to be a vet initially, and I did a work placement, and then I realised, no, I don't want to be a vet. And then I wanted to be a mathematician. I don't know. I don't now. I soon changed when I became an adult, but it was always sort of, mathematician, accounting, finance, always going to be something numbery, I think.
It's so
so
Yeah.
that's
funny.
that's exactly what I was looking for. So what was it for you, Ellen?
As I think about it now, it probably was going down and so my grandma lived very close and we grew up on a farm. So everyone would kind of mum and dad, had this business and my grandma lived on the farm with us. And I used to love balancing her checkbook. So so there you go. I've been reconciling numbers from a very young age and I could actually see like, okay, this money was spent here and this is exactly when this check cleared. And so I used to manage that. But that's the accounting side. Where did I come with the creative side? Maybe my, I don't know, love of baking cakes. That's happened from a young age that I used to then sell at garage sales when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So what was it that attracted you to balancing checks?
Well, I think about now I quite like and then as well I just love when everything's in order and things are accounted for. There's no kind of ambiguity, so I love that, and I also would find it very satisfying when everything lined up. Like I like there to be kind of a definite answer on things. That's my kind of one side of my brain.
So